Do you have best practices that you do?
I would say that my rule is to treat them like they're my family. Like, this is my brother, my sister, my cousin, my aunt, my uncle, who I'm going to have to look in the face again and know that I did a good job. I believe that you can find out a lot about a person in a real estate transaction. How they handled news in general is how they handle their life. And so I always say, like, communication is everything. I say this to all my clients. I'm like, you're going to live in the house, not me. You're going to pay the mortgage, not me. So you better really like it. Like to sit? You like to sit on the side?
I sit on whatever side you don't like to sit on.
Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Wherever you feel comfortable. You want that? If you want to move that pillow, you can move it.
No. I think I should get rid of my gum. Maybe.
I got you. Mark Lepore. Let's go.
Sorry. Thank you.
Okay. Do you carry business cards?
Not anymore.
So,
I do like the little virtual one through my phone. That connects you with like how you need to speak to me, basically.
Is it like a link tree type thing?
It looks like a QR code, and if you scan it, it pops up all my contacts, my Instagram and Facebook. So, however you want to get in contact with me.
Yeah, I stopped carrying business cards a long time ago.
I think I remember you saying that.
You're gonna throw it away.
Yeah, most people do. Older people like business cards.
And I'm not old.
No.
I'm not old, and I will throw your business card away the first chance I get. I don't want it in my pocket. I will Google you. I will search for you on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
So I think like I had to do I wanted to do like a link tree thing, whatever. The only challenge is if people Google me, I'm like, damn, it's gonna come up.
Your dancing videos?
Pretty much.
What you're known for?
Yeah. It's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. Why? Yeah. That's who you are. That's your personality.
It is my personality, but it also kind of, it's a little cringe sometimes because I'm super out there. Like, I don't use my social media for business, right? And so if someone's looking for me for business and they're like, the fuck? Who's this fool dancing in his underwear? Yeah. Like, that's my loan officer?
Yes.
Like, oh shit. So
I feel like it can go both ways. You could be relatable, super relatable, or like he's a normal guy. He's not like this stuffy business person.
Yeah. I mean, that's I had to accept it, right? Here, let me
closer.
And then just lower there. Yeah,
okay.
There, you're good.
Okay.
So I just had, like today I had a lunch with a realtor, and his whole thing was, I got to get better at doing videos, right? Like, how do I do videos? And I walked him through a process that's very simple. How to create it, how to have auto editing. And within 30 minutes, he had 1,000 views. And he's like, how?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's easy.
Yeah.
Like, it's super easy, but it was a property video, a lunch video, an introduction video, just like simple things like that we just did in like a quick 30 minutes. And so what I was telling him is like, people want someone who's relatable, right? Like, it's not just like properties and real estate advice. That's fine if that's how you want to run your platform. But he has really cool dogs. I'm like, put your dogs up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people love dogs.
Right.
Or the area that you live in.
Right.
Right? Like, highlight the area or wherever you went to lunch. And so the fear for me is obviously the judgment of others. I think we all kind of have that little thing in the back of our head.
Right.
But I had to accept it. I'm like, fuck it. This is who I am. This is what I come with. I know
Yeah.
I'm a dope ass loan officer,
Yeah.
but this is my personality and this is who I am. I just closed a transaction and probably a week before closing, it was such a long transaction. It was challenging. Someone was incarcerated.
Oh,
Um, things were lost in the mail. Copies were sent. It was a nightmare.
yeah.
And the client was a first time buyer,
Oh
and
no.
so a week before closing, the client said, "Hey," they're crying on the phone. You know, they're
Oh.
of appreciation,
Oh, okay.
right?
Happy tears.
Happy tears. And then they said, "Hey, I actually follow you on TikTok." I'm like, "Ah, fuck." And they said, "I saw videos on TikTok and this guy was talking."
Mm.
And I just, and I swiped and then again it came up on For You page and I recognized the voice. I'm like, wait. And then it was just a voice because they've never met me,
Oh.
right? So they just recognized the voice, never met me. Um, and then they started to look, and again, my name is not my name,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Southpaw Bill, we're Southpaw Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started to dig and they're like, oh shit. And then they started piecing it together with my email. This is my lender.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it was just praise. It was positive. It was nothing negative, and they were super stoked, super happy. But they had been following me. They just didn't know that I was their lender.
Well, I mean, I would think that they think their lender's cool.
I guess so. I guess so. So what's up with you? You said you had a PTA meeting today?
I had a PTA meeting. I'm in my mom era right now with my little ones, 5 and 4. And we're embarking in school journey and what that is about for them. And so I pulled back a lot from my career to really take care of them and be them be my primary focus right now.
Okay.
Um,
5 and 4?
5 and 4,
Okay.
yes. And but I miss it. Real estate is calling my name. I'm ready to go back. Even in this market, I love what I do. So I want to go back full time again. But the cool part about real estate is you can pick it up and go back and stop and it's okay.
So you were in escrow, or how was it? Like, was it just escrow then real estate, or was it real estate then escrow then back to real estate?
No, I've been licensed since 2006. I've always done real estate, but I got in the escrow industry kind of when the market changed. And it was a way for me to learn a different part of the industry and still do real estate, but separate.
Mm-hmm.
And but I initially started in loans with my mom. She does loans.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Where's your mom work at? Or does she still do loans or no?
She still does loans with JR.
JR.
Alex Diaz.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And so I started as her processor. Well, I started as her notary, actually.
So
And
notary, escrow, loans, real estate.
yeah,
You know all those areas.
facets of real estate, yes. So when I was in high school, about to graduate, she's like, don't make any plans this weekend because you're going to go to a notary seminar. And I'm like, why? I don't want to do that. I wanted to become a veterinarian. So I ended up going to the class, and she's like, it was in 2004. So you can imagine what refis and sales were looking like at that time. And so I was just doing tons and tons of signings. And then it turned into, well, you should just process for me part time and you should get your real estate license because you're already going to be in college. And before I knew it, I was full blown in real estate and I never looked back.
Do you like it?
I love it. I love it.
What do you love about it?
I love to educate people, especially people who have been taken advantage of or who've had a bad experience. They could be more challenging because they don't trust people in our industry. But I make it my mission to just educate them, and they should know as much as me. So I always tell them, like, first it sounds like Chinese when you're doing a transaction, and by the end it will be English to you.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just seeing people being able to become homeowners and or make that something that's their business, which is investing in properties or passing down properties to their families, um, and being able to speak my language. It's not that wasn't my first language, but
English?
Spanish. Spanish is not my
Oh,
first language, but it's my second language, and I feel really, I don't know, it like heals a little side of me of like helping people solely in Spanish, even though it was not my first language.
gotcha.
It's my second language.
So your first language was English,
Yes,
and then Spanish.
then Spanish.
What's your third language?
No third language.
What's your love language?
My love language. My love language is words of affirmation.
Oh, good job.
Yes.
Yes, good
And
job.
quality time.
Okay.
Yes.
It's funny, dude, because I mean, words of affirmation were never a thing for me. They're still not,
Hmm.
you know. And it's nice to hear, but it just doesn't do for me what it can maybe do for you.
Yeah.
For me, it's physical touch. I don't know if that's a love language.
Yes, it is. Actually, that is another one of mine.
Okay, but so you have them like categorized and
Yes.
stuff?
Yes.
Okay. So like number one, top one is physical touch. But for me, it's always been how my family has been. Like give my mom a hug.
Mm.
When I visit her, I lay on the couch with her and we're hugging, or I hold my mom's hand, we're watching TV, or I hold my dad's hand.
Yeah.
Like I need to touch them.
Yeah.
And that means love.
Yes.
Obviously, spending time with them, you can't have physical touch without spending time with someone. And so those are mine.
That's your language.
Yeah, I just can't touch my clients. So, what's cool about what you're like, kind of like your background, and I think sometimes, well, not sometimes, but just in general, having that knowledge of like what your notary does, knowledge of what your lender does, even if it's surface level, escrow, like you don't panic. Like, you know what's going on,
No.
right? So all of that helps you educate your clients in a different capacity than I think someone who's just a realtor.
Right.
Right. And then I think that's the way I view my position. My job isn't to convince you to buy a house.
No.
Whatsoever.
Never. I hate, and I literally mean hate, walking through a house with a client and I'm like, when I hear an agent say, you should totally write an offer. No. If you like it and you want to write an offer, you're going to tell me. I don't believe in selling people on the home they're going to live in. It's going to sell itself for them, for sure.
I've had so many agents tell me, like, you got to convince him, George. You got to convince him to buy a house. You got to convince him of the payment. And I'm like,
and also, that's the worst.
I fucking can't.
No.
That's not my job. Like, if you want to work with a lender that works like that, because there are lenders that work like that,
right?
Then go find them.
Right.
That's not who I am. My job, I wanted to be a teacher. You wanted to be a vet, right? So I wanted to teach history, and I wanted to teach older, like college, like a college professor, because I don't want to teach someone that doesn't want to learn.
Right.
Right. I don't want to help someone that doesn't want to be helped.
Right.
I don't want to convince someone to buy a house and sign up for a mortgage and then say like, oh, my, effing lender. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
It's education, answer questions, facilitate the process, and make it as simple as possible.
Right.
I had a first-time buyer. Well, we have a first-time buyer in escrow that I talked to yesterday. And it's just like explaining everything to them. And I could hear, like, it sounds weird, right? But I could hear them on the other phone, like hearing like a sigh of relief. Like, okay, thank you so much. Like, I understand it. Thank you for the process. I had a teacher come in yesterday. She's starting her process and you know, uh, teaching a teacher. Like, how would, and
Yeah.
so I take that to heart. How do you educate? How do you communicate? Um, so your sales approach, air quotes,
Mm-hmm.
like, do you have like someone that coaches you on your sales approach, or like a way of, is it like Tom Hopkins? Was it Tom Hopkins? Yeah, Tom Hopkins, Tom Ferry, coaching sales styles that you follow?
I really truly believe that you are born with sales or
Okay.
not. Like, I believe that people buy from me and work with me because of the way I make them feel and because of the way I treat them. Not because I'm like, well, yes, they know that I know a lot of information and that I'm resourceful. But I no, I think it's just something that's in me. It's something that I feel so comfortable doing that they don't feel like I'm ever selling them on anything. I'm just holding their hand through the process till the very end. And so, because I'm not like pressed on leads or pressed on who's going to be my next client, they organically come to me from past clients, family, friends, or referrals from other lenders I've worked with. And I feel like that's the best client. I'm not like, are you interested in selling your house? That's just never been my deal. It's just if they come, great. And because I do good business, more will come.
Emilio from Guaranteed Rate talked about that on a lender panel that we had,
Hmm.
where a lot of us, and the reason I remember this is because I was pulling some footage from the event, and he said, many of us forget the clients that we've already served.
Hmm.
Right? We're so focused on chasing the next deal
Right.
that we forget that we did a good job,
Yeah.
that we treated them right,
Yes.
and so your business, 20 to 30% of it at least should come from past clients. Now, if you're 100% referral, well, that's fantastic,
Right.
right? Like, that's where I think most people want to get to.
Right.
Do you have like best practices that you do, like with your clients, like when you're taking them through the process that you could share for, let's say, like a newer agent?
I would say that my rule is to treat them like they're my family. Like, this is my brother, my sister, my cousin, my aunt, my uncle, who I'm going to have to look in the face again and know that I did a good job. Treat them like your family. Like, you care about them more than anything because you should. And ultimately, me giving full transparency, even when it's ugly, and giving them the update, they know that I'm communicating with them and not hiding or not answering my phone. Sometimes I feel like people say, you should set boundaries on time of when you should answer your phone or when you should respond to a text. But I believe that people communicate when they have time. And if you could answer them or at least acknowledge them, then they feel reassured that you care. And that's the same thing I would want.
So treat them like family and be available.
Be available. And definitely, if you don't know your contracts, please use a good 2C who does. That's going to help you with that. Because, I mean, we have to be honest about you may not know everything. So make sure that you have somebody on your team. Don't be cheap about paying for somebody like that who's going to guide you and what you need to be doing and what you need to be disclosing if you're not sure. So
I think
that's,
those are good tips for newer agents. It kind of goes in line with what was taught to me, which is like become a student of your business,
mm-hmm.
right? So if you don't know your stuff, you rely on a team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you also need to fucking learn your contract.
Absolutely.
Read your contract.
And know your times, your contingency time period. You better know what the heck those marks mean on that contract. And otherwise, you could be potentially losing your client money.
What's a contingency?
A contingency is dependent upon a multitude of things. It could be a contingency of your loan terms, it could be a contingency of you selling your other home. it's basically reliant upon something else. So like if you have a loan contingency, they need loan approval to remove loan contingency. So your lender has to say, yes, this client can move forward so that they can remove that contingency to know that you can qualify for that loan.
So it's something like dependent upon.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you sign off on it, what happens? Like, what's the risk of that?
You're releasing your deposit.
Okay.
You're releasing your deposit in most cases. And if you're not careful, it can go bye-bye.
That same first-time buyer I'm telling you about?
Yes.
I talked to a listing agent. Listing agent said 7-day contingencies on everything with a non-refundable deposit.
Ooh.
I'm like, yay, you. I said, that's not happening. I said, that's not happening, man.
But like, what kind of business is that for a first-time home buyer?
Correct.
So let's like throw you into everything, rush you through the most important process of your life, most expensive process of your life. And no, I'm sorry.
So I had to have a nice conversation
Yeah.
with the listing agent.
Yeah.
And I said, look, here's what I suggest, right? Yes, we can rush contingencies on inspection, appraisal, do a close of escrow that's fairly quick,
Mhm.
right? They wanted 14 days.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but understand the buyer. I want you to understand my buyer, right? My buyer has $500,000 in the bank account.
Mm-hmm.
My buyer has a 800 credit score. So
It's a good buyer.
it's a very good buyer.
Right.
But they're first-time buyers.
Right.
If you come back with what you're telling me right now, they're going to walk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you that right now. And so they were able to modify it based on the conversation that I had. And then he messaged me. He's like, well, what do you suggest? I said, look, and I gave him, 7-day contingency on inspections, 10-day contingency on appraisal and loan approval.
Mm-hmm.
Do a 21-day or less. Don't do a non-refundable deposit. And if your seller wants, maybe do a per diem on it to make them feel comfortable.
Right.
But those are the things that your lender, I think if you work together as a team,
Mm-hmm.
your lender and your agent, that's what you're paying them for.
Right.
To protect you. And as a buyer, you're not paying your agent. That might be up for debate
Very soon.
Very soon.
Yes.
Because people think like, well, I can find a house.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Sure.
Right.
But even on like when someone says, I'm gonna like do a for sale by owner. I'm like, George, can I ask you this question? I'm your lender.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm your lender and I know a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I was about to say a lot of shit. I know a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And I can kind of give you some advice, but you're asking for legal advice, which I cannot give you.
Right.
Real estate advice, which I cannot give you.
Right.
That's why you need a realtor.
Right.
And so I think it's super important for agents to know their stuff.
Absolutely.
And that's how you become confident. You have that peace of mind on your side to just be okay with certain things, I see shit hit the fan all the time.
Yes.
All the time. And I'm very careful who I share that with.
Yeah.
Some agents, like let's say like yourself, like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we're working on. Like this is just to let you know, transparent what's going on. There's some agents I can't even say anything because they immediately go into panic mode.
Yes.
And then they start trying to resolve something. It's like, dude, just go get another client.
I believe that you can find out a lot about a person in a real estate transaction. How they handled news in general is how they handle their life. And so I always say, like, communication is everything. But being mindful of how people react to certain information, like, you have clients where, like, if their loan's on fire, you're not going to tell them at that moment until you can either find a resolve or you have to go back to them for a cosigner or whatever it may be, right? But I think I always say, if you can keep your cool and look for a solution instead of complain, because that's what a lot of people in our industry like to do. I can't believe, well, what are we resolving? Let's just find a solution. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I always say people in our industry, we could also be therapists
We are.
because people will tell you a lot about their lives in a transaction, and they either want sympathy, they just need somebody to talk to, or they want to explain their behavior because that's a result of why they're acting that way. And yeah, I always say I learn a lot about people in a transaction.
I learned a lot.
Yes.
Client yesterday tells me he's a single dad. He's a
Oh,
widow. Tell me about his kids' situation. And again, like, why would he share that with anyone? Right? Just to go out, I mean, to blurt that out, right?
yeah.
And so, not only do I think realtors have to treat people like family, know their contracts, or rely on someone like you're suggesting, um, but you also have to know human behavior
Mm-hmm.
and work on knowing human behavior, how to deliver bad news.
Right.
You have to get really fucking good at this job at delivering bad news.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Like,
You got to know, even if that person's in a bad mood, the way they answer the phone,
mm-hmm.
because it could make or break your transaction. And if that person doesn't take news well, they can tell you to go to hell at that moment.
Kick rocks.
Yes. And for sure, you have to know your delivery.
So every 30 minutes, I'm going to click on that.
Okay.
So just to do another, not episode, another segment.
Okay.
But you can keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, I love what I do.
Yes.
I love what I do.
Can I be super honest right now?
No, you can't. This is a very filtered podcast where you cannot be honest at all.
I feel like a piece of my heart is missing when I'm not doing real estate like the way I like to. So I'm really anxious to get back to it and start just being out and being around my peers in the industry. Even that I've like stepped back from for a while. And like I love doing that. I love mingling with people. Even if that part, I have no desire for that to bring me business, but I do like knowing the people around us and what they're doing and their techniques or any little nugget I can, use.
People are that same listing agent that I'm telling you about invited me to an event yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And they were shared with me that they're trying to put together events that bring like business people together, kind of like networking events
Mm-hmm.
and that sort. And I think there's some really cool people out there, man. I just see the good in people.
Yeah.
And when I go to these events, I can mingle, have fun. But they're doing things, right? There's some people that are there just to party, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, go for
Yeah.
it. You're not doing shit.
Yeah.
But there's some people that are doing things,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it's not just business.
Right.
It's just a different way of living life, perspective. And I like learning from people.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I hear you on that 100%. You should come to WeRep at least. Where do you live? What city?
Upland.
Okay, yeah, come to WeRep at least.
Upland, yes.
We meet every Friday. Today, the superintendent from Altaloma School District, or
Mm-hmm.
they were talking about how much they get per child, and as far as the revenue of the school, they were talking about tax dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Like just different things that, again, I think if I was a realtor, I would want to know, okay, we have a client in this particular school district. This is how this works.
Right.
But people aren't doing that.
No.
They're just not informing themselves. So what I do every single day, I have more or less a report a mortgage report. Like, what are bonds doing? What are stocks doing? Did the Fed say anything? Are there jobs reports? And it comes through MBS Highway. So MBS Highways is a subscription service, right? So we have to pay for it. It's not cheap. I think the lowest thing is like maybe $60. So I think the one we have is like 100 to 170. And then there's other things that you can add to it. But they dissect it for me. They'll show the information and then I get all the reports. Mind you, this comes out at 6 a.m. So before my clients are up, before anybody does anything, it's what is the economic data that's out there that's going to affect my transaction? Every single day, I have to know that. So on the agent side, is there something that you would do every day, every morning to check inventory? Is there something like that?
Yes, on the MLS, you can check like what was just listed, what's coming soon, what's happening in specific areas. There's market analysis. They're telling you what's happening or how quickly they're having expireds. There's a lot of things you can generate directly through the MLS. And depending on who you're a board member with. Yes. There's
You
a
can do
lot.
that.
Yes, you can. There's plenty of information available. And if you want to like hone in on one area, you can specify on the MLS, I just want this specific area. I want to know every time a house hits the market in this city with this bedroom, with this whatever. Yeah, there's a hot sheet, basically what we call it.
I read the IVAR, their like monthly report that they generate. So Mark Dowling is the president of IVAR, and they put that report together that shows every like Fontana, for example, or Rancho Cucamonga, and the price change and how many properties got listed and how many properties had price reductions and that matters.
Right.
And so compare me as that loan officer that's very meticulous and knows all that shit to a credit union loan officer or a savings and loan officer, which is like an MLO or a call center MLO. I will blow them out of the water.
Of course.
Because of all the knowledge I know. And to tell the client, or just the conversation I had right now, like with that listing agent, of how to respond back with something that potentially can benefit my buyer.
Right.
But also considering that there is another family on the other side that's being very harsh with what they want. So here's a suggestion. They found middle ground. They open up escrow. Super excited. I know that what I bring to the table is so much more valuable than a commodity, which is just quoting rates.
Right.
I'm like, that's not you want me to quote your rate? Like,
right.
You want to borrow my phone and Google it? Because
right.
I ain't got time for that.
Absolutely.
So 18 years old, being a notary. I remember I was 17, leaving high school and going to appointments. I would go like suited.
Oh, but I miss that time. I know, like, I feel like, I don't know. I have like one leg in and one leg out. I miss the time when we dressed a little nicer in our industry. But I also appreciate people being their authentic selves and people taking it for what it is.
I hate it.
Okay, so let me rewind. I've actually been going on in-person loan application appointments since I was 7 years old because my mom's been doing it that long. So I used to have to sit with her when she had to take me to an appointment. So I always heard her selling. But she's also not a pushy salesperson. So it was always just sharing information.
Right.
And this is what I could do for you. I'd love to help you, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to convince you to do it, basically. So it came long before I even knew it.
Yeah.
But I didn't choose it till I was an adult.
Yeah, I've seen it. So it sounds like the same thing. It's like you had a strong role model. And it was a role model of education and then allowing the client to decide. I think our job is to educate, provide a recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
But what I tell our clients is, you're the boss.
Yes.
Like, I can't force you to sign anything. Like, this is what I suggest.
Yes.
As a loan officer, 20 plus years experience. This is what I see what's best for you.
Yeah.
Um, but I remember going on in-person appointments. I hated it. Sitting at kitchen tables, with families and having all my printouts and having my calculator and calculating stuff all the time. And then the kids screaming and that's just not for me. Okay. So I have no kids.
At least you're honest.
No, thank you. I've had kids throw shit at me.
Oh, jeez.
Seriously. Like grab papers and run. And I'm like, oh my God.
And you can't yell at them.
You can't yell at them. You can't yell at them. They're your client's kids. And seriously, just like I'm sitting there and they're throwing shit at me. And the parents are just like nothing.
Yeah.
Not even like, hey, stop. It's just like, keep going. I'm like, dude, your child's throwing pens at me.
Yeah.
So I do not miss going to clients' houses personally. But I do remember all that. And those were like my very, very first clients, very, very first clients. And it was the same approach where I wanted to treat people in a way where my parents, their first language obviously is in English. So there's a lot of people that get taken advantage of when their first language is in English.
Yes.
Whatever language you speak, and your native tongue is in English, someone who is, a shyster could really, really screw you over.
Yes.
So I wanted to treat people with respect and like the dignity that my parents deserve. Absolutely. And then number 2 is I have 2 young, dumb brothers. All right. These 2 fools right there. And I didn't want someone to take advantage of younger people, even though they know the language, even though they're smart, just because they've never done something.
Right.
Like, that's not fair.
Right.
So I always wanted to just help. And so I view it the same way.
Yes. Helping and being available for them. And honestly, I like hearing the stories.
You do?
I love hearing people's stories, like where they come from, what their background is, why are they in the position that they're in, how much did they struggle to get here. Putting $100,000 in the bank is not a small thing, especially for somebody who doesn't come from here and comes from nothing. So I love hearing those stories. That's my favorite part.
It's encouraging.
Absolutely.
It's like I'm proud of them without knowing them.
Yes.
I'm like,
yes.
That's so fucking dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the excuse to people who have had everything? Like, what is it?
My mom would say this.
Yeah.
And she would just do this.
Yes.
She wouldn't even say it. She'd be like,
well, I think we can agree because you and I are the same generation, is that the work ethic has definitely changed in this generation of people we're seeing. I think personally, people want to see the success and the money and all these things happen without really grinding and doing the work.
Entitled?
Oh, yes. Very entitled.
Yeah,
very
like
entitled.
It's owed to you.
Yes.
No one knows you shit.
Nothing. We've also lacked common conversation with human beings in their face. I see generations today, they don't even know how to look you in the eyeballs. They don't know what a firm handshake is. They don't know how to greet somebody in the room. I am like on my kids about greeting every single person that they come in contact with. Even if they're a stranger, we say hello. Because I think that means something. That's important. Like, we're all human beings. And I always say, your hello could change somebody's day. Like, you have no idea what that person's going through, what they're dealing with, even smiling at them. And I feel like this generation, I'm scared for them.
It's funny because the saying, like, don't talk to strangers.
Yes.
Right? Don't talk to strangers.
Yes.
My upbringing was the total opposite.
Same.
Like, talk to strangers.
Same.
Say hi. Say hello.
Like,
shake their
or
hand.
get hit in the back of the side. You didn't say hello to somebody.
That's an adult.
Yes.
Like,
respect.
Respect.
And get up and say acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I always tell this story, but when I was a kid, like, if I was upstairs doing homework and my dad came home, it didn't matter what I was doing. I had to come down and greet him and say hello and give him a kiss. Quick exchange. But you do not allow somebody to walk in your home without acknowledgement. And you can take those values and they can take you very far in your business if you can just do those things sometimes.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
It's very simple, but you know, I think, I mean, I would walk home in first grade.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, that's like, I remember walking home. You know, I remember trying to walk home from the mills
Mm-mm.
to like the middle of Fontana
Oh my gosh.
in 6th grade.
Wow. That's like a mission.
It is. It is, right? And just, you know, I remember taking the bus and by ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and my parents would tell me that, like, you would just say hi to strangers all the time. And you would embarrass the shit out of us. You would say, man, you have a big nose, or crazy things of what children say.
Right.
But they were never like, don't talk to strangers. It was always talk to strangers.
Say
You
hello.
know, say hello. Be respectful. When you walk into a room, shake their hand.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny to me because my mom has always been in sales, and there was always people at the house.
Mm.
And I think as I got older, I started to realize that when we would go to others' houses, kids wouldn't greet. A lot of kids wouldn't greet.
Mm-hmm.
And our parents taught us that if you come home and there's a stranger, and it wasn't like at that later age, it was from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Like every time there's an adult, you have to say hello.
Yes.
Shake hands and things of
Yes.
that nature, and be kind.
Yes.
And it's helped me so much. Even now, I started going to the closings, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yes, it's the happy time.
I love it. I didn't fucking know I love it.
It's the best part.
Okay, so I would never go to that. Like,
Aw.
because, well, as a loan officer, let's say my experience is, so from 9 to 5, it's banking hours,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So I have to be at the office. I have to, from 9 to 12, we have fundings.
Right.
From 12 to 5, I'm like, getting files together, paperwork, running DU, all the stuff that needs to happen between 9 and 5. From 5 to 8 or 9, it's like the follow-up phone calls, prepping all these things. And so I'm super booked.
Right.
Like there's no freaking way that I can leave and go into a closing. It's not a 30-minute thing.
No.
Like you're going to be there. I have to set aside like at least 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then on weekends, it's in-office appointments, it's open houses. It's a bunch of things that we have to do on weekends. And so I never made the time for it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I want to share with you is that I started going to the closings and a lot of the parents show up because they're happy for their children.
Oh.
And so I connect with the parents in a way that I'm like, this is what I've been able to do my entire life. Speak with older people that are 50, 60, and I could see it in their eye. They're
Same.
like, man, this is a nice kid.
Yeah.
Like they look at me like, thank you for helping my son.
Oh.
Thank you for helping my daughter, versus like, who the F are you? Or
Right.
just,
You're not this uptight person
No.
just trying to sell their kid.
no, we're walking the house and we're talking, and it's just such a good feeling for me to know that I'm appreciated in a way that it's not just the fact that I helped them, but me as a person, and they see that. It's so cool. And then the kids are happy, the family's happy.
Right.
So I've been telling my realtors, dude, tell me when you're having a closing. Like for any of our clients, I want to go. I want to be
Yes.
there. I want to see you give them the keys. It's so exciting. You guys get to do all the fun stuff.
Hey.
I'm just like,
I listen, when the time came for me to decide if it was loans or real estate, it was a time where I would go through a Rolodex of sales reps for banks and call and get pricing for my mom. And she was like, "Well, you can do both. What do you want to?" It wasn't a time where you could do both, but she's like, "What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "I like looking at houses." That's my thing. I like being out. I like being in my car. I like me going to people's houses. That's my thing. I have to do what makes me feel most comfortable.
that's the same question I get from a lot of people that want to come into our industry.
Uh,
Like, hey, should I be a loan officer or a realtor? It's like, well, I mean, do you like being out?
Also, do you like people?
Yeah, that's true.
Because you gotta like to talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta like the uncomfortableness of like first meeting, like you have to know how to feel for them to feel what's the word I'm looking for? Like they can relate to you in some way. You find a relatable thing. And going back to what you're saying, when you know how to greet people and you know how to say hello and you know how to be respectful of people, especially people of our culture, notice that immediately. They are like, oh, this kid's not like a knucklehead, even though I know he's much younger than me. And sometimes I think people are like, I used to have a complex like, do they think because I'm young, I don't know what I'm doing or that I don't have enough experience? Even though now it's 20 years, but still, there are people who look at your age. And I think if you have those qualities about you, people trust you.
I was just talking to a friend. So there's a friend right now. Well, I don't know him.
Mm-hmm.
Call him a friend because um, his wife, her mom was my madrina.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was talking to him about tattoos. I'm actually going to take him tomorrow to my tattoo artist. It's called in a favor. I said, look, he's from out of town. It's his first tattoo. Older gentleman.
Yeah.
I said, can you do a favor for me? So shout out to Mario Daggett and NoHo Inc. So they got him in. And again, this is my like award-winning tattoo artist, like
Yeah.
booked and. So as I was talking to him, I was telling him that the same complex of like, let's say being younger, I had that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Young, dude. I'm like super young when I started.
Yeah.
Like I think, Davion, I mean, he's seen my pictures of, I
Yeah.
mean, he probably knew
You
me
did
then.
his first loan for his first house. He just told me that today, actually. Yeah.
Long, long time ago.
Yes.
So I would part my hair, right? So I would part my hair
Mm-hmm.
to look older, thinking like, oh shit, I gotta have like a business haircut.
Yeah.
I was always wearing a suit. I wouldn't, I mean, in business, I don't curse, right? Obviously, on the podcast, I will, but very proper,
Mm-hmm.
very, very proper. And I would never, ever joke with my clients, ever.
Mm.
Never, ever, ever joke with my realtors. And it was this thing like, I have to be grown up. I have to posture myself in a way that does not allow them to critique my age.
Yeah.
Or to think that I'm less than just because I'm younger.
Right.
So I dealt with that for a long time. And now it's dealing with, let's say, how I want to dress or my tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I was sharing with this gentleman. I said, I take it on as a challenge. Like, I see a lot of times people's like older clients' eyes and they're like, like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
The judgment.
The judgment.
Because that's what it is.
It's judgment.
Right.
And I could see the layers like get peeled off as I begin to talk to them.
Yeah.
And they're like, is this like I don't know.
They're like, oh, he
Oh,
has a brain.
he has a brain. He's very nice. He might dress a little weird.
Yeah.
all right, but wow. And when they walk away, they're like, dude, no one. Well, they don't say, dude, no one's ever explained things to me in the way that you have, and I've
Right.
bought 5 houses, 10 houses, huge investors. And they're like, man, you really know your stuff. I'm like, yes. The designations I have are only 1% of loan officers have the designations I have
Mm-hmm.
in the nation. Like we're top, we're in the top 1% of mortgage originators. Like, so there's this thing, but I don't lead with that. I cannot lead with that.
Right.
What they see is this first, and then they hear what else comes. So I take that on as a challenge, dude.
Yeah.
Uh the I don't know, dude. I enjoy it. I enjoy challenges.
Yeah.
I enjoy the puzzles that come with our industry, and like you said, managing people's personalities and how to put them together and how to be able to listen. I think one of the ways that you can be successful in this industry or in life in general is your ability to listen,
100%.
right? Because part of not selling, part of not selling is listening.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard too many agents talk about the pool in the backyard.
Oh, God.
Or too many agents talk about the schools.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like pools. I don't care about schools. So if I go buy a house and you're trying to sell me on that,
Yeah.
I'm just like, are you even fucking listening to me?
Right. Right.
So, yeah, I think your mom taught you well.
Thank
Kudos to
you.
mom.
Thank you, Mom.
What's your
If
mom's
you're
name?
listening, Teresa.
Teresa?
Teresa. Uh-huh.
Like T? Teresa?
Teresa.
Oh, Teresa.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Where's your mom from?
My mom is from Mexico, off a small island off the coast of Mexico called Cedros.
What?
Look it up. It's right across from Ensenada, but it
Mm.
was a fishing island, a very small fishing island, and not very many people lived there. Her dad and brother were fishermen, and then there was like no schools or none of this, so she had to come to La Paz, which is south of Cabo. And so that's where she was until she was 9 and then came here.
It's crazy. There's an island off Mexico?
Yes, called Cedros.
Cedros.
Isla de Cedros.
Isla de Cedros.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Isla de Cedros.
Yes. Yes.
That's cool, man.
Yes. And my dad.
Does she go back to that place specifically or no?
Yes, she has. Actually, I think a couple years ago, her brother took her. They went to go fishing out that way and took her to go see it. But the Japanese used to stop there a lot. And believe it or not, they used to come with king crab legs and throw them away because in that time they didn't eat them. They didn't know what to do with them. Tons of lobster. My mom said she was like sick of lobster. Imagine today.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't like lobster, so I don't have to imagine.
Okay. Well, if you like seafood, it's a delicacy.
Yeah. You know what? I was so excited because my entire life I've never eaten lobster, right?
Okay.
But I would see these damn Red Lobster commercials,
Not
and it's
Red
like you know how they like.
Oh yes.
And it's like, and it squirts out like these juices and shit. I'm like, oh, that looks so good. And so I want to say 5 years ago, or within the last 5 years, probably pre-pandemic, I said, I want some fucking Red Lobster. And I went and I hated it.
Oh, but Red Lobster is like.
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, Red Lobster is like going to Applebee's for a steak.
Dude, I went to Applebee's the other day. The steak was so good. I was watching the Laker game. I'm like, oh my God, this steak is so good. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
But like, that's like not top notch for a steak place, right?
I hear you.
Okay, you'd be better off going to a Mexican place that serves mariscos and having lobster from them.
Okay, so maybe I won't give up on lobster. I'll try it again.
Do you like seafood at all?
Not at all.
Okay, then I'm going to say that's probably a hard no for you.
Yeah, anything. So I'm going to say it. I don't give a fuck. I went to Las Brisas.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Uh-huh. And they had oysters.
Uh-huh.
I really, I'm like, I don't like seafood, but like oysters, I can have oysters. Like, all right, let me try it. Oh my God. It was horrendous. It was bad. The person that ate the oysters on the other side of the table were like, damn, these are delicious. I was I was gonna be sick. So it's not me, it's not nothing against the oysters. It's just that's how I am. Like
Are you
if
a
I
texture person?
I bit it
Oh, that's a bad
and I was like, and I was like, oh my god, I was gonna come out. It was not good at
Well, and
all.
then people make it look like this delicacy and it's just gonna but no, you literally have to shoot them.
Yeah, and I shoot them, but sometimes I'll bite into it, but this one was really, really, really seafoody,
Oh, you
and
can get really sick from oysters.
oh, dude,
Really sick. Like if there's something in it, you can die, literally. They're
really?
very dangerous. And most importantly is the temperature that they're kept. And they have to be very cold. So if I go to especially like a Mexican restaurant, they love to serve them like kind of lukewarm.
Like, no, thank you.
Nope, I won't eat it.
Where I did have the prior to that was at King's Fish House,
Mm-hmm.
and I went with a friend. His name's Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
He's a restaurateur.
Ah.
Right. So he manages several Asian cuisine restaurants.
I love Asian food.
So he's just like he loves to try food, like even if it just goes to waste, but he wants to pick at everything from every restaurant, right? Gets ideas for his restaurants. Delicious at King's Fish House. Like I'm like, okay, this is cool. But this last one, no thank you. No, thank you.
Also, I believe in the size. Like
Okay.
the bigger it gets, the gookier, slimier it is. The smaller it is, the less like smell it has.
It's nice and cute.
It's cute.
Yeah.
I will say though, if you go to King's, their lobster to me is one of my favorites.
Oh, really?
Yes.
He had king crab.
King crab is delicious there too, but South African lobster tails. And it comes with two, so you can share it with somebody. And they're like charboiled or like barbecued
Dude,
kind
their
of at
food
the
is
top.
good.
It's really good.
We had a shrimp, like the spicy shrimp thingamajiggy. He ordered lobsters, and I don't know what else, but oh, it was so good. I went to Vegas, and he had I mean, he's a chef, right? So he just orders everything from his restaurant. He's like, hey, try this and try this and try this, and there's this Kong roll that he came up with. And so he'll try everything out in his Vegas location first, and then he'll distribute to the other places. Chin Chin. So check out Chin Chin if you ever get to go to Chin Chin. It's in New York, New York.
Okay.
It's so fucking good, dude. Everything I had was amazing. I just, and again, he was like, "Hey, you can go to my restaurant anytime you want because you're staying here." And I literally did almost every day. I ate at that restaurant. The staff was super nice, and I'm learning to eat sushi.
I was just gonna ask.
I'm learning to like.
You're opening your palate to
Oh
sushi.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm learning. Yes, as long as it's not fishy.
Do you like albacore?
I don't know.
Albacore is like probably the easiest way to introduce yourself, I think, to sushi because it's like half cooked, half raw. It's like seared. And it has a really light taste to it.
But you like seafood.
I love
because your mom grew up
on a
cooking
fishing
seafood.
Island. And then yes, she grew up cooking it, but my dad also comes from like a coast of
Where's your dad from?
Ecuador.
Okay. So Ecuadorian and Mexican.
Yes.
Okay.
And
your dad was born in Ecuador?
Yes.
Okay.
And so as a little kid on Saturdays, he would buy like 5 Dungeness crabs, steam them, and crack them open and have me sit next to him and eat them with him. And it's like a vivid, like, core memory of my childhood.
Where'd you grow up?
Rialto.
Okay.
Rialto. I didn't move to Rancho till I transferred to Etowanda my junior year.
Did we go to school together?
I think what year are you?
I don't know.
I was only there
98?
No.
2002? Am I 2002? I think I'm 2002.
I think you're Rindy's?
Huh?
Or, my friend Rin. Did you graduate with
Rindy?
Rindy? Yeah.
Tall
Cara?
girl?
Uh-huh.
She had a sister?
Yeah, two sisters. There are three of them.
I think they're younger than I am.
They are younger, but I want to say when I was a freshman, or no, shoot, when I was a junior, she was a senior.
So then we wouldn't have gone to school together?
No.
Okay.
With your brothers.
You went to school with my brothers?
Yes.
Oh. Mike and Diego? Both of them?
I remember Diego. I don't remember Mike.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Interesting. I didn't know we were that close. That's funny.
Yes. So that's where the seafood comes from. It was always in my house.
How did your pops come to the United States? Like, or when did he come to the United States?
He was 4.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Brought by his grandmother and in New York initially. So he grew up in New York till he was about 13. Then he came to California, to LA, and met my mom when he was 19, 20. They got married and had me and my brother.
It's just you and your brother?
Yes.
What's your brother's name?
David.
Hi, David.
Hi, David.
And then your mom came when she was how old?
9.
So 9 and 4.
Yes.
So they've been here a long time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's we've been here a long time, but my parents were like older, obviously,
When they
a lot older. Yeah, because I was 5. So
you were born in El Salvador.
I was born in El Salvador. We were all born in El Salvador.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's the same person I was telling you about the tattoos and like me just taking it on as a challenge.
Yes.
Was saying he's getting his first tattoo, right? So he's maybe in his 55, maybe 60.
Mm-hmm.
He's an older gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
Not an old man, but
yeah,
he's wise. Right?
Definitely.
And so he was saying that there's freedom in El Salvador, just like a lot of places in Mexico, for example, but that it's not the same. And that culture still very averse to, tattoos, for example, or the way you dress, that the culture still the way we were brought up. Mm-hmm. We were brought up
old school.
Old school.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, I said, man, it would suck if I had a kid because I would raise him old school. And he would hate me for it. Just like I hated my dad for it.
I raised mine old school.
You do?
I'm going to tell you why. Because it really worked for me. Yeah. I mean, obviously you have to adjust your parenting style to each child. But there are certain things that I believe work. And I don't believe that tattoo expression is bad. I personally don't have any, but my brother is fully sleeved. So like we need to hang out. We came from the same parents.
Yeah.
Same roles. But what I'm saying is I don't know. I want one now. Sorry, Mom, but I do. Now at my age. I want my kids' names. But I still have the mentality of like my grandmother, she's really old school and I'll keep it as PG as possible, but she used to tell us in Spanish that if you put it somewhere, then you need to put it on your private parts.
Yeah. Pónatelo en el culo.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what this gentleman said. Hey, look, I wear a lot of short sleeves, so I want to be able to see it, but not completely.
Yeah.
And he's a grown ass man with kids, daughters. I don't know if he has grandkids, but I mean, he's a grown man.
Yeah.
And so it's cool to see people stance open up.
Yeah.
Like my mom says, I don't like them, but wow, they're beautiful.
Yeah. I really admire
Yeah.
the artwork and the
Hmm.
detail that goes into them.
Yeah. I mean, I love them. I love it. And they mean so much to me. They,
Yeah.
me personally, it's like I have my grandparents tattooed on me.
Well,
I have my parents' signatures tattooed on me. I have my little brother's tattooed on me. People are always like, "Oh, like, is that a memorial tattoo?" Like, and then when I tell them, "Oh, they're my brothers," they're like, "Oh my God, your brother's passed." I'm like, "No, they're fucking right there.
he's
I
at the
just,
bar.
he's right there. He got that guy twerking, and that other guy spanking him.
That's
Those are my brothers.
it.
I just love them so much, and
Yeah.
so,
But that's beautiful. It's like giving them their flowers now while they're still here
yeah.
because you don't know.
Nah, you don't know. I love those two little knuckleheads. So are you older than Diego?
I think so. I'm gonna be 38 this year.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So you're maybe like a junior and he was a freshman, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Was it a culture shock moving from Rialto to Etowanda?
I was going to school already while I was there. But yeah, it was different. But I miss like that little area that I lived in, and like I felt like we matured and grew a lot when we moved to Rancho because it was just like I was then a teenager, my brother was going into middle school, and things happened really fast. And I associate Rialto with like my childhood, and so it has a special place in my heart.
It's someone told me they were from Mexico and they told me you speak like a white boy.
A no sabo kid?
Yeah. Like your English is your vernacular in English is like a white boy. And I said, I don't take offense to that. Like
Oh,
uh,
not your Spanish, your
my
English.
English
That you sound white.
sound white.
Hmm.
And I said, well,
Proper.
exactly.
Okay.
And so I said, look, the thing is, my dad in Spanish. So does your dad? Well, your dad was young.
Okay,
Like, do your parents speak street ever? Like, let's say Mexican slang or Ecuadorian slang?
no,
Okay.
they didn't. And also, my parents didn't want to speak Spanish to me right away because they wanted to make sure that I did well in school. So no, I didn't get that side. I learned the slang side from other people.
It's funny, dude. That's how my parents were. Like, not the slang side, but my dad said, look, at home, Spanish.
Mm,
You have to learn Spanish.
yeah.
And he was just saying that he appreciates that when we go out in public, when I address my dad, it's always in Spanish.
Mm,
I always, and then I could turn around and talk in English. And when I talk to my dad, it's in Spanish.
yeah.
So he was just saying, he goes, I've always appreciated that my sons have done that.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to do that.
Right.
But out of respect for me, they do that. And so what I was going to say on the English piece was I never wanted to speak in a way that nah fool,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It's cringe.
It is. Or for me to just speak like I'm from the hood.
Well, listen, I'm not going to say there's not. I don't judge people for speaking that way because like some people that's the way they grew up.
Exactly.
But I feel like, especially if you're in an industry where you're sitting in front of people or talking to them on the phone, you have to convey yourself as clearly and professionally as possible.
Right. 100%. 100%. People have told me uh, in Spanish, I sound like a fat Mexican. No joke. They've told me that. You sound like a fat Mexican. In English, they're like, you sound like a white boy.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking like I'm from the hood, like, yes, I've been there. Speaking like with the NAF or that,
Right.
I've been there. I can use those vernaculars, right? I
Right.
can, in a certain setting or with friends and
At
all that.
out.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not going, I don't need to speak that way.
Right.
Like, and so when we went from like Fontana, Rialto, we also were like in the valley, like
Mm.
Reseda, Van Nuys, Southgate. Like Reseda, Van Nuys, Southgate, not full,
Yeah.
right? Not
Yeah.
full. Like Fool's Gone Wild.
Yeah.
And then over here, it would be more, I would say hood or like maybe Ebonics or whatever the fuck it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and because my parents in Spanish would also tell us, I want you to speak proper Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Proper Spanish. Um, and yeah, with us and with friends and stuff like that, sure, you can kind of mess around, and that's where like you're
Joke.
joke around.
Yeah.
But a lot of people aren't able to tell my nationality because my Spanish has been very like they're like, dude, is he Mexican? He's not
Yeah.
using Mexican words. Is he Salvadorian or Central American? Like,
Yeah.
what is he? Because my Spanish is very proper,
Right.
with not a hint of an accent. And so I was wondering on your parents, but you already answered it that it was more just like the
Proper.
proper way of
With
speaking.
both. Even though my dad, I feel like he works in the aerospace industry, and primarily the people he worked with were Mexican, so he would pick up words from them that are not from his culture. But my mom
Chale
always,
way.
yeah, or he would answer the phone like "Yuvole," which is not from his culture at
Mhm.
all, but it's just the way they
It's our
speak with
melting
each
pot.
other. Yes, but my mom was really, really big on not speaking that way
Yeah.
and saying the words for what they were. And so I'm really grateful to her for that because, um, I can communicate clearly. I can read, write, and speak it. And
Do you have a hard time writing it?
I don't. Well, thank God for iPhones because they auto correct me.
No.
But
No iPhone.
writing it
No,
out.
yeah, writing it out.
Sometimes.
Me too.
But the nice part about Spanish is it literally is how it sounds. So it's really it's there's
S's and C's confuse the fuck out of me.
yes, yes, yes. I
S's
can
and
see that.
C's.
I can see that. Yeah. So I don't have to very often handwrite it out. Only for my grandmother and her cards.
What about typing? Like typing up an email?
Um, I'm still old school with my phone calls.
You don't type emails?
I mean, like with my clients,
Yeah.
most of them are not email based. They're all this.
Yeah. Got to gut or phone call.
Most of them are phone call conversations or in-person conversations. So not a whole lot of Spanish emails going out for me. I can do it, but it's not a whole lot of them going out for me.
I prefer a phone call.
Me too.
I hate text messages.
Well, not to mention how quickly a text message can be misconstrued in tone. And it's a message.
It's tonality obviously cannot be interpreted. You have to kind of like fluff it up.
Emojis help
Hey,
with that.
how are you? How are you doing? Just wanted to check. You got to add more shit to it.
Right.
And then let's just say you have, a couple of transactions. How many text messages are going to go back and forth regarding this conversation and then they're going to go all day.
Yes.
Back and forth versus
hi,
addressing it,
right,
answering it, clarifying, and then, hey, I just wanted to kind of recap our conversation.
Right.
And then you just do a small summary or a small email.
Right.
Someone texted me this morning, I think maybe at 6, and it was a thread of 4 text messages. So obviously I'm not going to respond, right? I know that you said availability, you want to respond if you can, but
it's on your time.
Right, on my time.
Right.
So I'm not responding to you at 6 a.m. And so
Because also, what are you resolving at 6 a.m.?
nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Who are you? I want to know what underwriter or whoever you need to be is answering their phone at 6 a.m. They're not.
No. And so I called them. I called them. They didn't answer. So left a voicemail, sent a text like, hey, was checking in on the text. And that was my voicemail. Give me a call back when you get a chance. And then the text response was, hey, left you a message. Call me when you get a chance to discuss this. That works for me. Same for you?
Same for me.
Yeah. Before I would answer at all hours of the day.
Well, I feel like boundaries adjust as your life changes too.
True.
And the older you get, the more boundaries you have about your time and what becomes the order of importance for you. Now that I'm a mom, I'm not like, if you're calling me at 8 o'clock, my kid's in the bath screaming in the background. I'm probably not going to answer your phone call, but I will.
I'll get to it.
Respond to you and say, hey, can I chat with you in 10 minutes or whatever it may be. It's a little different.
I think it's, I used to, one of the ways that I would sell, excuse me, sell myself to agent relationships. I'm single and don't have any kids.
Same. I used to do that too.
Right. I don't have any kids. I'm
available 24/7.
Exactly. And then
I have no life.
Pretty much. I fucking work all day.
Right.
And then I found myself like, man, all these people with kids get time to take their kids to school, go to functions, go to the Little League games. And yes, obviously if they're successful, they'll step out and they'll make time for calls and things of that nature. But we give them space because we understand that that's valuable and important to them.
Right.
And I am devaluing my own personal time. Like if I want to paint, someone could say like, "Oh, you're just painting." Like, yeah, dude, but I don't have any kids.
Right. So that's
like that's
time.
that's what I've chosen to do.
Right.
It's not less important because I don't have kids.
Right.
Or I spend time with my parents. Oh, dude, you're spending time with I had to tell an agent once. They asked me to do an open house, and I said, my dad had gone through his heart attack, and
yeah, I saw that. I'm sorry. I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah, he's kicking and screaming now. And so I had to tell him like, hey man, I can't. I really need to spend time with my dad right now.
Yeah.
And the response was, I thought you said you wanted to work more and for us to get more deals. I'm like,
I don't want to do business with you.
Like, would you? If my child was sick, you would tell me the same shit.
Yeah, no. It's an okay excuse because you're the person in charge of that child. But like, where's the line drawn?
It's where we draw it. Right. It's where we draw it, and I had a hard time with that. I had a hard time with boundaries because my availability is so available.
Yeah.
Did you struggle with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. And even more to be restricted in time, like having to manage my time even better because now I have, instead of maybe 50 to-do lists, now I have probably 100 to-do lists because I'm in charge of 2 little humans. But you make it work for yourself. And if people genuinely respect what you do and like the way you work with them, they'll work on your schedule. And I always say that, like, it's always going to work out. I set my schedule, meaning like if I want to go show property on Saturdays, I know what I have going on Saturday and I say, hey, this is my availability. And I'd love to, if we can't work that out, can we do the next day? Sure. But I think, yeah, I for sure struggled with initially saying no. Saying no.
Saying no is hard.
Saying no is really hard.
Dude, it's so hard. I was just telling my mom yesterday. It was about a different thing, but I'm like, I have such a hard time saying no. And Diego was in the car, and Diego was like, you'll learn one day. I'm like, I just always want to say yes.
Well, I think like you're the oldest.
Yeah.
Okay. When you're the oldest, you're responsible, a lot more responsible.
Are
And
you older
yes,
than David? Okay.
yes, I'm 6 years older than
Oh,
him.
so you would punk him all the time.
No, I was more like his mom.
Yeah, punk him. My mom punked me all the time.
I was more like his mom, but um I feel like it's that older sibling, like you're just responsible for a lot of things and you are expected to just do it. And don't complain about it and just do it. And I kind of take that with my work too. That I have a really hard time saying, I can't do that.
Yeah, it's there's a lot that I've learned in this industry, and I would hope that others that kind of get to listen to some of this stuff can learn some of the things that you and I have been exposed to.
Yeah.
Because when you have like a 9 to 5, unless you're seeking for self-development,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're reading books, unless you're, searching for ways to maybe improve, it may not just as easily drop on your lap.
Yeah.
But for us in our industry, we get a lot of coaching,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of coaching that helps you with time management,
Mm-hmm.
helps you with objections and how to talk to people, how to listen to people, how to motivate people. All these things that a, a successful entrepreneur should really, really embrace.
Right.
And so hopefully, like some of the things that we share can help someone who doesn't do it for a living, but just kind of in general can really, really help them in their life. Because
Right.
even if you're not in our industry, like all that, these things that we were talking about, like
Yeah.
communication, student of your business, all these things, I think are valuable. Do you have like a book that you've read that's helped you with those things, or what? Like, is there anything? Because it sounds like your mom had a lot of it, a great influence in you.
Big, big influence on me.
Is there like a third party reference? Because we're not going to send people to your mom's house.
No.
So, is there a book like, or do you read that like that?
I've picked up reading again. I stopped for a while. I have a really hard time staying focused.
Sorry, his pants are really tight.
So nothing recently I've read. Honestly, I love hearing people speak.
Okay.
So whether that's going to events, even if they're not real estate related, but entrepreneurs, anybody that's doing more than I am, I need to be listening to. And just talking, I know this sounds crazy, but I love talking to older people. They give me a lot of wisdom and knowledge of things.
I'm older.
Not that much older than me. And kind of keeping things old school still. As I mean, yeah, we have all the resources now. Like you can look up podcasts specifically for memory retention now. You can look up podcasts specifically for running. That's something I just picked up, running.
Did you?
Yes.
What's the furthest you've ran?
Right now is 8 miles. I'm running my first half in May.
Woo woo.
Yes, thank you. Did not used to like running. But there is this little person in your head that's telling you to stop, that it hurts, that you can't do it. And I find it incredibly rewarding to shut them up. There's something rewarding about it. So it's hard work, but I
That's
like
cool.
it.
Where are you going to run?
In La Jolla?
That's in San Diego?
Yes. And then my next one is in Fontana, down Sierra. They bus you up and you run down 13 miles.
I could beat you.
Do it. Come run with me.
Diego wanted to sign us up for like an electro run or something like that, where like there's the EDM music and lights
yeah.
But I booked the podcast with Brett Lockett. So Brett Lockett's an ex NFL player with the Patriots and the Jets, and I'm like, I gotta.
Hello, I can't
say no,
yeah.
right? But that little thing that's in the back of your head telling you that you can't. Obviously, your body can.
Mm-hmm.
Your body can, but your mind is like, no.
So much more powerful. Literally, your self-talk and what you're saying to yourself is everything. Your mind tells you no before your legs are telling you no. And I find it to be like this major accomplishment. I literally at the end of my 10K, because I ran in Redlands, I was talking to myself out loud and I'm like, these people are probably going to be like, this lady is crazy. I took my headphones out because I was like, dude, I'm dying. Like the 6th mile, I was dying because there was a lot of incline in this run. And I'm like, you can do it. Do not stop. Keep going. And it works. I know it sounds crazy, but it worked. And it got me to my finish line. And I cried happy tears that I could do it, that I could push myself. Even though it's something I associated with like my least favorite, like cardio per se.
I used to run a lot. I don't anymore. And the way that there's a lot of different ways, the different techniques that I would use, but one of them would be is like, just get to that light post.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd get there, like, just get to the next light post. Simple.
Yeah.
Right. Just get to the light post, get to the light. And that helped me a lot. I would run about 13 miles, so it was just like, let's go.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, that's my attitude. Fuck it. And if others can do it, so can I. Are you cold?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
You had a Kobe one you did, didn't you? Didn't you do a Kobe painting?
I did. The Kobe one?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I gave it to Diego.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I saw it last week at his house.
Uh-huh.
Because I hadn't seen it since I gave it to him.
Mm-hmm.
I was amazed with it myself. I'm like, holy shit, I did that? It's so big and cool, man. It's bigger than that one.
I saw you post it and it was really nice. I don't know if it was like completely finished what you showed. I don't remember, but I think you were like still working on it when you were showing it.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in his office and I've gotten so many requests, DMs, phone calls. Dude, I want a Kobe like that.
Yeah.
And I haven't, like, there's a lot I haven't responded to. And I like multiple messages. Like, I want one for my son. And because there's a lot of detail in it. There's a lot of detail. It took me weeks to paint. There's so many little details, like the Kobe logo, like I have like palm trees in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a silhouette. Like I just had so much fun, but all it was for me was I gotta make a dope ass painting for my little brother.
Oh,
like I want him to have a dope ass painting, and it's up in his office. It's a centerpiece, and then he has other things around it. So I'm really proud of that one.
I love how close you guys are. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, we talked about it on Esther's podcast, on the main pod.
Oh, uh-huh.
And
my office.
Yeah, exactly. My dad raised us and my mom raised us to love each other, protect each other, like have each other's back.
Yes.
Be friends. We're going to go to the Grand Canyon this weekend.
Oh.
The three of us. So, I don't always... Diego I see a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Diego's a little thorn in my side. No, okay. Diego I see all the time. Yes. I'm going to see him tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to see Mike and Diego this weekend. And we just get along. We respect each other.
Yeah.
Mike is a certain way, Diego's a certain way, and me as the older brother is just loving on them.
Yeah.
Like, they're my little brothers. Like, I got to take care of these little fuckers.
Yeah.
That's the way I view my life. And, if anything got in their way, it's like I got to step in front. And then sometimes I gotta let them get hit.
Yeah.
Like I gotta let them get popped, and like, all right, like I'm here to pick you up. And so my parents taught us to. My mom taught us to speak to each other,
Mm.
to listen to each other, to respect each other. We did get in fights,
Of course.
obviously, little tussles and stuff like that, but never anything bad. Don't have ill will.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just thought that I always thought that that was normal, but the older I get, the older I've gotten because I realized it even before. I'm like, dude, okay, maybe our relationship's a little weird to people because it just doesn't happen in their families. But for us, we're so fucking close.
Well, and you actually want to spend time with each other.
Hell
It's not
yeah.
forced. It's not like come over, we're going over mom's because she's having blah blah blah. It's
Never.
you want to hang out
They're
together.
fucking they're my brothers. I hate having both of them around at the same time because I'm kind of funny. I think I'm really funny,
No.
but they are the funniest
Oh.
like guys that I know.
Yeah.
And they're so funny together.
No.
They're so funny, but they don't shut the fuck up. I'm like, dude, oh my God. Diego, like, and I tell him, I'm like, you guys talk like you're girls. Like, you guys talk so much. Like, well, how do you guys have so much energy? And they're funny.
Yeah.
And so I laugh with them so much. I love spending time with them.
That's awesome.
They're amazing. Um, so we were talking about, what were we talking about? Oh, running.
Yes.
So run to the next light post, right? Or the, the
Mm-hmm.
next thing. Um, and the other thing, and I used to do this as well, even with work because this business is commission based,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
Yes.
And so I would say, imagine if you can't get to that light post, you won't be able to save your mom's life. That's how harsh I am in my head to myself. If you don't fucking make it there, your mom dies. I am a masochist. I don't get motivated by positive encouragement.
Mm.
I am not one that hears positive words and says, yay. If someone tells me something bad's going to happen, anything negative, like you can't do it, like, oh, you get your neck blasted and you think you're going to be a lender, it's like, watch me. Right. And so it would literally be that in my head, like you're running, and it's like, okay, if I don't get there, Diego's gonna die. If I don't get there, Mike is gonna die. Like that's how what I tell.
Harsh.
Yes.
Very harsh.
Very. And it would be the same thing with work. Where it was like, if you leave now and you haven't gotten a loan, or if you leave now, you're jeopardizing your mom's life. You're jeopardizing your dad's. To me, it's always been, I will always, for as long as I'm alive, I will always put them before me. Yeah. They matter more. And I know it's maybe even a fucking hang up because you should always, take care of yourself too, right?
Right.
We were just having this conversation like 3 weeks ago with my mom. And I told her, like, I don't matter. That's how I view myself. I don't matter. It's important. It's not important if I have an 8. It's not important what I like. Like, you want that music? Okay, let me play that music. You want to go there? Like, I'll take you there. As an older brother, my job is to protect you, take care of you, provide for you. For a woman, right? Like in a relationship, like I gotta take care of her. She matters. Like she has an 8, like, whatever's on my plate, I gotta give it up. My dad taught us to think about others. So part of that conversation 3 weeks ago was, how do I change that? How do I adjust that thought process? Because while it may be beneficial in a lot of regards, it could be very detrimental in other aspects where I'm putting others in front of me and I need to kind of put myself first sometimes.
Do you think that makes you like resentful at all in like your romantic relationships when you do that? Because
Absolutely not.
no?
Fuck no. It's like a romantic relationship for me. That's the whole point. I love you.
Yeah.
Like, I love you. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to
Yeah.
do everything I can
Yeah.
to make you happy.
Then it's about meeting the person that wants to do the same for you because you don't want to do it for yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so that's you know,
Now you're hot.
very.
Turn the air back on. It's okay.
No. It'll turn on. I only turned it up literally.
You can turn it up. It's okay. I'm okay. Down. I'm okay.
No. It'll turn on. What I was said, it's gonna turn on. It's gonna turn on.
Okay.
I promise it's gonna turn on.
Hot is worse than being cold.
It is.
Yes.
But are you hot
No,
already?
I'm okay. I'm okay. But you can turn it on.
No, it's gonna turn on. I promise.
Okay.
I only turned it up 1 degree.
Okay.
So it just turned off, and if it gets 1 degree hotter, it'll turn back on.
Okay.
I think when you go into a relationship, the whole point of it is to fucking love on each other.
Absolutely.
To take care of each other. Like, she's tired? Like, fucking go cook for her.
Yes.
Go clean for her. Like, you're the man, provide for her. Take care of her. Like that from a man's side, right?
Right.
Be that person that she needs you to be. She needs you to listen to her. She wants to be taken out or whatever it is.
Right.
Be that for her. Now, it's nice and it should be where she wants to do the same for you.
Yeah.
Right? You come home and like, so somebody, a friend of mine, right, took my shoes off recently. A friend. And it felt weird to me. I was like, wait a minute. No one's ever taken my fucking shoes off. Like, I'm a 40-year-old man. No one's ever taken my shoes off.
Yeah.
And you know, and I've been in relationships. Obviously, you know, I've been in relationships and no girl that I've dated has said, hey, relax. Let me take your shoes off. And so I need to learn to accept that someone wants to take care of me. The people that take care of me have been my parents. The people that, like, if I go to my parents' house, it's always like, what do you want to eat?
Yeah.
Like, let me take care of you. So coming from my parents, I'm totally like, give me. But from others, I'm very like, no.
Right.
Like, what do you need?
Yeah.
What do you need? And so with the running, with my self-motivational talk is not positive at all. If I was in your head, you would be like, get the fuck, you are bad for me. But it's worked.
Yeah.
But maybe there's another way.
Yes.
Right? Not like there is another way.
No, there is.
There is another way. And so I gotta find a way to get comfortable with that.
Yes.
Because it makes me uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the trend? The super popular saying, getting comfortable being uncomfortable in our industry right now.
Yeah.
Doing things that you would never normally do to get results you haven't seen, right? I'm not talking about in business, but I'm saying I think you're just really hard on yourself.
I am. Extremely.
And you don't deserve that.
So yeah, that conversation with my parents was like, it's funny because my mom was talking to me the way she speaks to me, which is, you know, kind of joking, encouraging, positive, and I told her, Mom, you've known me for 40 years. Have you ever like seen my positive encouragement like work on me? And then she started yelling at me. Like, this is how you want me to speak to you? I'll do it. And I started recording her. She goes, don't put that shit online. Don't put that shit online. And I'm like, no, but I'm like, yeah, I think I gotta maybe change I was varsity as a freshman, right? I was scouted for the U.S. national team at a very early age. I did my industry at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I've done has always been more than what's expected, let's say, of me.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I've always psyched myself out is negative talk.
Mm.
So either you run towards a goal
Yeah.
or you run away from pain.
Yes.
I run away from pain.
Mm.
Goals don't motivate me.
Right.
But I learned that early on. So I'm just like double, triple, quadruple down on like the pain side. So the running, right? When I would run, aside from those 2 tips I just gave you, I will tell you the rest of the shit in my head. And it's like, you piece of shit.
Why?
Because you can. So I'm like, you piece of shit. How the fuck can you not get to the next light post?
Mm.
How can you not? You're weak. How can you be so weak? And so it's never been, come on, man, you can do this. You got this. Come on, never.
Mm.
When I've always played against, so like when I was 13, I was playing against like 18-year-old kids. It was always, I need to be stronger. I have to be bigger.
Mm.
Like I have to be more aggressive. Growing up in the party crew scene, being very young.
Yeah.
It's like you become tougher.
Mm-hmm.
Being the older brother, you become tougher. Coming to this country 5 years old to take care of my little brothers. It's like you. So I've always had this. So like I've been thinking about it. Yeah, that's how I've been conditioned, and that's how it's worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
But could it work another way? And the answer is yes, it could work another way. I just gotta start letting go of that way of speaking to myself in my own head and accepting people that want to do kind things for me.
Yes.
Yeah. It's hard. It's not impossible, but it's hard.
Case in point, today, I specifically asked you
Yeah.
what I could bring you, and you said nothing, not at all. And I wanted to bring you something that you specifically liked, and it was no, ha ha ha, joke. But you don't want to accept a nice, kind gesture.
Yeah. It's exactly that.
Yeah.
It's exactly. And I even thought, I said, and I didn't do it, but I thought about it. I said, let's share a donut.
See, you could have told. I literally drove by a donut place. I'm like, what if he likes donuts? But I didn't know what you like, so
was gonna text you.
Asked. That's why I asked.
I'm gonna do more work on myself to begin to accept niceness. Like
Yes.
I accept niceness, but it's not accepting niceness. I think it's just accepting people wanting to do things for me.
Yes.
You know, the positive self-talk. Diego's mind works a little different, you know, but we had Diego's usually positive self-talk, and you could see it in our personalities.
Yes.
But he did say that someone asked him, "What do you want for your birthday?" Because we never ask for anything. Like, no, it's okay. Like, you know, we're gonna celebrate.
Yeah.
No. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
you always feel like an inconvenience.
Yes.
But I think that's a cultural thing also, because you're made like. I think in Hispanic culture, I speak to Hispanic culture. This could be a lot of other cultures, but we're made to like be the least inconvenient as possible and be the most helpful and resourceful when you're around.
Dude, I clean tables when I go to restaurants.
Yeah, because I
don't want the busser
yes
to have more work.
Yes.
I'm like literally cleaning the table, stacking the dishes, doing all this shit because I know there's this dude or a lady, a child, maybe older, young. To me, it's irrelevant who the person is, but there's a person that has to do this job because of me.
Well, and you're being considerate of what you just did, which is eat at a table and you're not going to leave this big giant mess for somebody, because were you allowed to do that at your house in your
Hell
table?
no.
No way. No way.
No.
And so it starts at home, and what's happening
Por su
at
culpa,
home?
ma'am.
No, good job, Mom. Good job, because those are things that people notice.
Yeah, but no, there is no yeah, but 100%. I don't take that away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't take that away from my personality. I won't take that away. I just got to get better at like
Accepting nice things to happen to you and that you deserve good, positive things.
yeah. I just, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, say it with me. I deserve
I deserve
good,
good,
positive things to
things
happen to me.
to happen to me.
And I will receive kindness from others.
And I will receive kindness from others. Hashtag my size is extra medium. Send me some damn shirts.
Send him merch.
Yeah, send me merch. I'll wear it. I'll rock it. Is there anything that is on your mind that you would like to share that I have not asked, or a topic or subject?
Well, I guess it's one that I've heard you talk about that interested me, your perspective of, but religion in general. I recently converted to Christianity after being Catholic most of my life. Well, all of my life, grown up in a Catholic home and school until I went to high school. I'm now teaching religion to my children, and I feel like it's made a really big impact in my life, and in my marriage, and how I react to people in general. Because even though I'm a really nice, kind person, I have this impatient, sometimes quick reaction that I don't like about myself, that can come off as a little crazy.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm interested in hearing your take.
I think it's a. I was having this conversation with a friend earlier this week, and I said I think it's a beautiful thing for others to have religion in their life.
Mm-hmm.
I feel envious of it because if I had that, maybe I'd have like a certain peace of mind, right? A certain peace of knowing, or yeah, okay, a piece of knowing what's out there,
Mm-hmm.
right? And feeling like there's a God
Mm-hmm.
that can protect me,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that after I die, I get to go to this place,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that my prayers might be answered.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I don't believe any of that.
Did you grow up in a household that did?
No.
Nobody.
No.
Mm.
So my parents believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was sharing with the friend, I said, look, I think my mistake of why I've been so averse to it is because I associate it. I associate God with religion.
Mm-mm.
And then, right. So it's realizing for many years, I'm like, I've been to temple, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Jewish temple. I know about and was introduced to Buddhism,
Mm-hmm.
Gnosticism, Christianity from all facets, like Catholicism, evangelicals. I've like my entire life, my parents have been like, we're gonna expose you, to learn. It was never, excuse me, it was never a Catholic household.
Mm.
It was never crosses and
Mm-hmm.
better see nothing when you get on the damn freeway. No candles in my house, stuff like that. But never judgmental of others, like from my parents' perspective. It's like you have to respect people's opinion, you have to respect what they believe. They believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
they believe in a Christian God, right? Especially my dad believes in a Christian God. But when he speaks to me, he'll say, um, I don't believe we die. He's like, if we're energy
Mm-hmm.
and we pass, then energy can either be created nor destroyed. Then he's like, I'll be somewhere, right? So then now that's more of uh, a hippy dippy type, you know? So like my parents are super open, dude. Like
Mm-hmm.
super open to many things. And so for me, when I hear about like religion, I believe that there's value in it for individuals. I believe that it's important that it could be something that can benefit them. I've even tried to read the Bible. I even try to listen to the Bible. James Earl Jones puts me to fucking bed. It's Darth Vader reading the Bible to me, the King James version, James Earl
I'm
Jones.
sorry.
So I enjoy learning about it. But if someone said, gun ahead, do you believe in God? No, that would be my answer, because there's doubt, and if there's doubt, that means I don't necessarily believe it 100%, like someone who is, like a faithful believer.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Catholic churches many times, and I'm super fucking confused.
Oh,
And I'm
yes.
like, wait, you're talking about statues and you're talking about like things that, but this book says, I'm so confused. And then you guys it's a sermon. And then now I'm like, oh shit, this is like it's like a ritual.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a ritual, but it's not in the forest. It's,
A
so
lot of memorization.
I don't know what to respond.
Yeah. You shouldn't if you're not going.
I'm like, I don't know what to say. Mind you, I'm laughing about it. I'm joking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to you as a friend. In the setting, I'm like, okay, like
Just
respect,
right, of
right?
course.
Respect. Like I even have this thingy on here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I was going through my alcoholism,
Mm-hmm.
drug addiction, my dad would pray to Saint Judas,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it has a very special significance to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not religious. I don't know much about him other than what my dad and my mom have told me. They're not religious,
Mm-hmm.
but they were like, we got to pray to this saint, the saint of lost causes, because we don't know what to do with our son.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being in bed and my dad being there and praying, and my dad's never been religious ever. And he was just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So that's a tattoo that I want blasted on my neck.
Mm.
Not because of the significance of this to me, significance to my dad associated of how he felt like I was a lost cause. Like I gotta fucking find a way to help my son.
Right.
So religion is something that um a lot of people get offended, with the talk, because I understand that they hold it near and dear to their heart,
Mm-hmm.
and those people probably can't be my friends.
I'll say this. I heard something very recently from actually my pastor at church. And he said the mere fact that anybody who would call themselves faithful or religious or close to God, who is judging another person for what they believe in or what they don't believe in, that's not it. That's not what that's not what being a kind, accepting human is. It doesn't have to be associated to religion, but just understanding that everybody has a different walk. I am not judging you at all for what you believe or don't believe in.
You better
That's
not.
your calling. That's your thing.
You're going to hell.
Yours, no, I would never say that to anybody. But that's exactly what he said. And he's like, we have a bunch of Christians judging the LGBT plus community. And who the heck are you? Who the heck are you?
See, like things like that. Like to me, I know so many gay people.
Yeah.
Like
Same.
You know, I was just I had a podcast in Vegas and Protein Poppy. So
Mm-hmm.
Protein Poppy was on my podcast, and he was saying how so he's a bodybuilder,
Uh-huh.
so you know Protein Poppy,
Uh-huh.
and he was saying that he's like yeah something about like I don't I don't want to misquote him, but he says look gay guys don't like ugly things, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just don't.
No.
So if they like me, like okay that's a good thing.
Right. I'm not offended by
I'm not offended by it.
it.
And I'm like, you know what? That's the way that I've looked at it.
Yeah.
Not like that, but I've always looked at it where that's what makes you happy.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Right.
I one of my first clients, you know, was gay or is gay. Oh, he is gay. Many clients that I've had that are gay,
Mm-hmm.
and I have great experiences with them. I just told my brother, Diego, a couple days ago, or not a couple days, a couple weeks. I'm like, hey, did you know that my dad's best friend was gay? He's like, what? And then he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, that guy, you know, his name's Philip. I'm like, when my dad 35 years ago or something like that, like he was gay. And he's like, I didn't know he was gay. Like thinking my dad back then would have been like, no, like I don't want to be your friend, the Hispanic guy, like
Typical.
super old school shit like that. No. I'm like, dude, he took my dad to a strip club one time, you know? And it wasn't like, I mean, he took him to like a black strip club, different. And then he also took my dad to a gay bar. Like my dad was like, okay, maybe like I don't want to be here, but he was hanging out with him, and so I appreciate how open my dad has been.
Of course.
My dad fucking watches anime.
Of course. That's awesome.
So like little things like that from our parents to not judge others.
Yes.
To let others walk their path, their life, that's okay. And to not use religion because, you know, culturally that's usually very ingrained.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't ingrained in my parents, but my parents are like, you have to be a good person.
Right.
You know, if you believe in God, if you want to find him, and you know, we did go to church, we did have Bible studies. That all happened. Ooh, you ran out my battery.
I'm sorry.
No. I like it.
I'm gonna just stand up for a sec. I'm not used to sitting for that long.
No?
No. I'm a mom. I'm like moving all the time.
All right. So anyways, so the LGBTQ community, or LGBT, or however many initials there are on it, you know, they're one of the things for me is you like who you like.
Absolutely.
You know, and be yourself. I saw this dude the other day. When I was going on a tangent because you know I'm a fucking squirrel. But I saw this dude walking down the street, and he has this outfit on, and I'm just like, "Yo!" I just tell it. I'm like, "Cool outfit, bro." He had a top hat, this jacket on, looked very unique, and when I see that in someone, I appreciate it and value it.
Of course.
I don't know if he was gay.
Yeah.
Right? All I saw was just a dude with like a flashy ass outfit. Right now, before you came in, I was doing a live. And a gentleman was on the live. And, you know, what did he say? I said something of the same statement I said from Protein Poppy. And he's like, I'm gay. And so, yes, I agree with that 100%. We like nice things. And so then the religion or the religious folk that judge and shame, I'm just like, dude, I'd rather hang out with this guy. This guy's so much nicer. People have gone up to me in church. I've gone to church and they've pointed in my face like, you're going to hell.
Oh, heck no. I'm sorry. Those type of people are the reason why you're probably not walking into a church voluntarily.
Probably. Because I went many times on my own to try and find out Like, dude, like,
That's not it.
well, I tried, and
That's
why
not
didn't
it.
God send me to another fucking church then? It's his fault.
That is not it. That is not it at all. No. No, no, no. And shame on that person for ever saying that to you, because nobody determines that but one person, if you believe in him, and I
Yeah,
do. And he loves you no matter what. And his self-talk is really, really good. It's really positive for you.
I know, right? It's not gonna be the devil talking in my head like, yeah.
No, 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 no.
Um, so I had someone on too that was just saying, and this has been taught to me, like again from my uncle. It's hard to even change your own teachings or your own self-talk,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because my uncle says the same thing. Like, God is God. Like you can attach religion to it, sure, but that's not it, man.
No.
Your relationship with God is.
It's super personal.
Mhm.
It's super personal. Like whatever it is you're going through or you have going on, it's between you and him. That's it. It has nothing to do with anybody else. But I do believe that you're put in front of people to be kind to them, to help them. Just like in business, you use that to educate, treat them like family, make them feel good. Those are all things that also feed you, like feed your soul.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, and I think there's a reason. There's a reason why that dang book has been around for so long. Is what I said.
Absolutely. Uh-huh.
So many years ago, I was like when I really started to, I think, accept myself.
Mm-hmm.
I um, I went and bought some damn books, right? But I bought books that were not motivational,
Mm-hmm.
not real estate, not business, absolutely nothing to do with like, let me expand my fucking mind,
Mm-hmm.
how to win and, how to influence and win people. None of that shit. I went and bought books that uh, are not cult classics, but classic books.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like Dante's Inferno. Not Dante's Inferno. Yes, Dante's Inferno. The Divine Comedy,
I've heard the Divine Comedy.
right? The Count of Monte Cristo.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that book's seriously that fucking thick. Um, Robert Frost, all these classical works, let's say, and there's a bunch of them that I bought. And I said, I got to feed this into my mind because there's a reason why they've been around for 200 years, 300 years, and people still
Reference them.
reference them. Not 300 years. Some of them 100 years, some of them 200 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say 300, maybe 300, the ones I just named. But anyways, if it's been if it's been a couple hundred years,
Mm-hmm.
what about the one that's been around the longest,
Mm-hmm.
or that I can reference for 2,000 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Almost. There's important things in there. And I had the same conversation with a friend recently because I was talking about Elvis and Johnny Cash,
Mm-hmm.
and I shared with them I love a lot of their gospel music, and they're like, "Wait, what? How the fuck do you like that shit? And you're so anti-religion?" Like, I'm like, no, it's not that I'm anti-religion, right, or anti-God. It's just that's just not what I believe,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I played some songs for them. God's gonna cut you down. I played some gospel music for them, and I said, like that feeling when I hear that music and they talk about God and they talk about all these things and there's Bible quotes in there. It resonates with me,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it, even though I don't believe the way that someone who's of faith would truly believe.
Right.
Me trying to get a tattoo of a saint,
Yeah.
people would be like, it's contradictory. It's like, no, I'm finding my way.
But that's a big significant sounds like for a turning point in your life.
Which one?
The
Saint
saint.
Jude, yes.
So, I mean, like, of course, I would think you would want that to remind yourself.
Dude, I have Elvis and Johnny Cash.
Mm-hmm.
Like Elvis, I grew up with Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to Elvis with my grandmother. You know, Johnny Cash, like, and it's the lyrics, it's the music, it's the way they sound, it's
The way they dressed.
obviously the fucking way they dressed. But religious things don't scare me. You know, someone was able, like, are you scared of it? It's like, no, like it interests me.
That's good.
But speak to my logic.
Right.
That's where I'm at, and that's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm very. My
Matter
uncle
of
told
fact.
very.
Yeah.
My uncle would tell me that when I was a lot younger. He said, "You're." He's like, "You're too much up here, man."
Yeah.
He's like, "Think with this." He's like, "Lead with this." And I said, "Well," he's like, "You're a good kid, right?" He's like, "You have a good heart." He's like, "But you analyze things always with your logic when we're talking about these things."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "It's right here." So all of that has made me super open to hear people's things, not judge people.
Right.
But then when I talk to someone who's super like religious or someone who can potentially educate me,
Right.
they're the total fucking opposite.
Which really disappoints me. Really disappoints me because, so I'll give you my testimony.
Sure.
Okay. I had a client that was referred to me by a loan officer, and this client had fired 3 agents before me. And when I got to him, he's like super open about who he is. And he's like, I've done time. Like, I just redid my life. Now I have custody of my kids. Now I want to buy a house, but I want what I want. And I was like, Ben, shout out to Ben because he knows who he is. I said to him, I'm not going to sell you. You're going to tell me if you like it, and then I'll write the offer with all the things that you want and guide you through the transaction. Let's go look at you want to go look at 100 houses? Let's go look at 100 houses. And he would tell me every weekend he saw me, you should come to church. You should come to church. You should come to church. And I would always like kind of brush him off and just say, okay, and be cordial about it. And he handed me a business card from church. Okay. And it's time went on. I sold him his house and he was so happy. He was so grateful. And he's like, thank you for sticking it out with me and like not judging me for like not settling for what I didn't want. And I say this to all my clients. I'm like, you're going to live in the house, not me. You're going to pay the mortgage, not me. So you better really like it. So long story short, he hands me the business card. The business card appears in my house all over the place. I put it in a drawer. Somehow it's in another drawer. I put it on the fridge. It's like, I don't know if my kids would move it or I would move it subconsciously, but
Waking up in the middle of the night.
But I felt guilt. I mean, call this like superstition, but I felt guilty throwing away a card from church. Okay, so I didn't want to throw it away.
All right, hold on. Someone gave me a Bible, and I've carried that fucking Bible around with me because I don't want to throw it away.
Well, no, but so there's something in your subconscious
for a very long time.
Yeah.
Again, it's been around for a very long time.
Yes.
So, sorry.
Okay.
So the business card that likes to follow you around.
That's following me around. And one night, my son, we're like laying down. He's going to bed, and he's like, "Mom, who is Jesus?"
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, "Oh my God, my son was 4, going on 5.
Really?
Who is Jesus, and what is it about?"
Really?
We weren't talking to him about church at that moment, mind you. We weren't praying. We weren't doing any of those things with him. Where he heard it and picked it up, I don't know. But it wasn't a moment where I was having a really difficult time in life and struggling in my marriage and just having a hard time. So it was right before Christmas, and guess what appears in the laundry? The dang business card. So I'm like, all right, I'm going. I'm just going to show up to service. My client wasn't there that day, so I didn't know anybody. I just went nervously to this church. I had been in a Christian church maybe like twice before that, but other than that, always Catholic. I even went to Catholic school. So that's what I was used to. I was like blown away how simple and how easy it was to understand and listen to what their message was. But okay. So second Sunday, I'm like, I'm going to go back. I go back by myself. I was having a really hard time with my personal life. I was struggling with alcohol. I didn't like who I was at that moment. And I was like, I don't know who else to turn to. Went through church and this lady taps me on the back of my shoulder. And she's like, hi, Mija. I don't want to startle you or like make you feel weird, but something keeps telling me to come talk to you. And something tells me that like you're really struggling and most likely in your marriage. But like who the heck knew that?
Like, have you been in my DMs?
Yeah. I'm like, who knew that? Nobody knew that.
Yeah.
And I just like broke down crying because she hit it right on the head. And you know what she told me? Not you need to be coming to church, not your never any judgment. You know what she told me? I need to be kind to my husband. I need to go home and show him love and cook for him. Figure whatever he likes and go do that. And just be a nice, kind, also pray. But that was the main message with no judgment. And it made me feel like there was a whole aligned reason why I was supposed to be there that day.
It's I had a podcast with Zach St. John. He's a drummer. Cool dude. And it's not the same thing, but just hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
So he is educated, gone to college, has a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Took science classes, astronomy, all the I guess subjects that someone would take in business, right? Mm-hmm. And so he was saying, he's like, it's so hard sometimes to
I'm gonna move this.
Yeah. know what you know logically,
Mm-hmm.
but then to like have congruency with what you saw and explain it. So he was talking about ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
spirits.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, it's not supposed to exist. Like scientifically, it's like this is not supposed to happen.
Right.
And then I chimed in and I said, but I know what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I felt.
Mm-hmm.
No one can take that away from me.
Right.
So like your experience of like having that, it's like no one can take away the fact that like that card was being moved and shuffled around.
Yes.
Like there's, how do I explain it? I don't fucking know. I don't know.
Right.
And how did this lady know? I don't know. The point is A, B, and C happen. And I don't know. I can't explain it. And so it's like, was it God? Like just me being me, right?
Right.
Like for you it is, obviously.
Right.
But it's something that, like same thing with my dad and my mom. There's just some things that only God, like there's something there. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it.
No. So
maybe one of these days when I'm a little curious, maybe I'll go to a church, but I'm not promising anything, anything at all.
So, well, that's the way I was with my client. And I like to keep my things very separate with my clients.
Yeah.
And I see him now almost every Sunday. I don't go every Sunday.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing about it is that they taught me that my relationship with God is personal. not about showing up there, listening to the message, engaging with the church. They help with those things, but that's not the purpose.
It's as you were talking, I'm like, man, why am I so anti people at church touching me or coming up to me or saying hi to me? Like like in life I have to be that person, because I enjoy that part of life. That is me. But in the church setting, it pisses me off. Like I almost feel like because I've been so averse to it, like open but like averse, I would like to go somewhere where I can go and sit down and don't fucking say hi to me.
Yes.
Don't say hi to me. Don't come and talk to me. Don't come and try to be kind. Don't come and try to make me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That would make me feel even more uncomfortable.
Yes.
I wish I had a
sign.
Like a
Don't
sign.
talk to me.
Don't fucking talk to me.
Just let me listen.
Just let me listen. Let me be here and let me get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go process it. And then I'll go back again. And then I'll go back again and again. And then it'll get to a point where it's like, hey, I have a question.
Yeah.
I wish there was like, you know how when you go to a Brazilian barbecue place? Like the red stopper and the green stopper, bring me some steak, don't bring me some steak.
Right.
So like I could sit down and like, I'm wearing a red hat. Don't talk to me. Do not talk to me. If I put on the green hat, that means you may approach me.
Yes. Yes.
Churches should have that.
I agree.
Seriously.
One thing I thought was super cool is they do like kind of like a table talk, and they sit and they let the congregation ask questions like that you wouldn't normally ask.
Where do you go to church?
Pastor. It's called Living Word Assembly in Chino.
Okay.
And I thought that was cool because people like text in the questions and then they're made to answer these really uncomfortable questions that people don't like to ask pastors and church leaders. And like our pastor had a conversation about gay and lesbian people, what you should be doing in your household about it. And the one main message was don't judge people. And shame on you if you're judging people for doing it.
So I judge people all the time, but
everybody does.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Everybody does. But in this specific case,
yes, I know
for
what
you to
mean.
say you're going to hell because of who you love is a stupid concept to me.
Yes, 100%. I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you wearing? Is that
I can imagine that thought goes on more in your head than I'd like to believe.
A lot. Earlier, I caught myself audibly and physically responding to a video that I saw. I'm like, ugh. Like, I'm like, man, this is why we have Diego makes so many faces. People see it on the podcast and people see it like, dude, your brother makes so many faces. But I do too.
You have a pretty good face though.
I mean,
like I can tell when you don't agree with something, but you don't want to say it.
Sometimes.
But I mean, like you have a good, like respectful way of responding, even if you're like, I think that's bullshit.
You know what the thing about, and I agree. Yes, thank you for saying that. It's just, that's okay.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
Right? Just like I don't care if everybody fucking likes me. I don't care.
That's a really good place to be though.
Like, yeah, I think so.
It is.
I think so.
Because how much people, I keep referring back to the industry because we're in it, but how many people do you know in the industry care so much about what people think about them?
Yeah, like this podcast, right? Like, and it's going back to just the have almost losing my dad, right? Like that is in my head because how many people am I pleasing, right? Meaning the way I dress, mostly dress and tattoos. That's really pretty much it. Like at the end of the day, in regards to appearance,
Do you really think tattoos are that much frowned upon still?
Not as much anymore, right? Not as much anymore, but I've been blasted for 20 years.
So you went through a stage where it was really like,
Yeah.
are you a gang member? Are you
Well, yeah.
like, did you grow up in the hood type
Yeah. Type.
judgment?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And and the other thing is my views on religion.
Mm-hmm.
Right? My views on religion, like kind of like the conversation we're having now, it's a cool conversation to have with someone like you. But this private conversation that is being made public, people are gonna be like, the fuck? There's gonna be people out there that are gonna talk shit about it.
Of course.
100%. People that on gays and lesbians and the LGBT community, people are gonna talk shit about that.
Right.
I don't care. Like, and because our industry for many years, it's like we're chameleons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chameleon here, chameleon there. Because we adjust ourselves to people's personalities, the room, the setting that we're in.
Right.
A lot of us are conditioned to continue to be that way. And so I would, dude, if a client saw me in public and they saw me all blasted, I'm like trying to cover up.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And it's like, no,
That's-
I'm entitled to my own point of view.
Right.
I'm entitled to believe what I believe.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I can't change my point of view. It doesn't mean my point of view might not be right 100% of the time, or that I have something to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to understand and know that I'm a good man, right? Like that's what I had to think about. Like I'm a fucking good man.
Do you see the positive self-talk that's happening right
Dude, I've done this all the time.
here?
My aunt told me the other day, about a month ago, she goes, you have to love yourself.
Yes.
And I'm like, do you know who the fuck I am? I'm like, it's like, come on, Tia. I'm like, come on. Do you know? Do you hear the shit that I say? I'm like, I know who I know who I am. I know what I'm worth.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very very confident. It doesn't mean that I still don't have hangups with like receiving gifts and all the the other
stuff.
things, but that talk of knowing I know who I am as a son, as a brother, let's say as a lender. I know how badass I am. I know a community leader. I know what I give. I know what I am as a man. No one can fucking take that from me.
No.
So being comfortable in my own skin to just to accept it, and for the people that have a different opinion of whatever topic, subject, issue, whatever it is, I have to be okay with them not liking me. And that's okay. Not everybody has to like me.
That has been one of the hardest things for me to accept. Because I like to get along with everybody. But I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
No.
But it took me a really long time to accept that.
I'm like, dude, I consider myself handsome. I consider myself a good looking dude. But there's some girls that be like, ew, he has a dirty mustache or little cortina over his lip. There's a bunch of girls that be like, ew, he's bald. Okay. Or what did I say? Blonde, brunette.
Oh, blonde, brunette, redhead.
Redhead, or I'll even take a blonde one too.
Yes.
So it's to say there's preferences, right?
Right.
Some guys like tall girls, some guys like short girls, some guys like big girls, some guys like skinny girls. But if you say that, like, oh, I like blondes with big boobs or whatever.
Right.
Oh, you're body shaming now, or you don't like.
Oh, no.
No.
That's another thing with this generation. Everybody's too sensitive. Everything offends everybody. You're not allowed to have your own opinion about anything without offending somebody.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm so over that.
I don't, and that's the whole thing about the religion piece, or the whole thing about vocalizing and being more of who I am.
Right.
At the end of the, dude, I spoke with a realtor maybe about a year ago, and I remember telling him, I was like, I could die happy right now, bro. He's like, really? Don't say that. I'm like, I'm serious. everybody that I know and that I love knows how I feel about them.
That's good.
I hug them. I tell them I love them. I don't get in arguments like and leave things unsaid. I fix it. We fix it. Anybody, like my coworkers, anybody in my fucking world knows
how you feel.
How I feel about them and how, like, what's in my fucking heart. I could die happy because I'm not leaving this world without expressing myself. And so I don't know. We should just like value ourselves more.
Absolutely.
And I value myself a lot. So
good. I'm glad.
Yeah. Fuck everybody who doesn't like me. So yeah, I think we're well, let me see what you brought and then we'll get you on your merry way. Yeah, let's see. Layered Cakery?
Yes.
From Central Avenue in Montclair.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. This is our reward.
They had really nice cakes, like I could see from the window. And I'm like, I mean, it's kind of hard to mess up pastries.
Cakery? Layered Cakery. Is that the name of the place?
Yeah, so they make cakes, but they also do pastries.
I'm not going to give you none, dude. All right, so ta-da! Which one are you taking?
Don't ask me what their names are. I just picked whatever looked cool. Strawberry tart. I think this is like chocolate ganache. Some things a cream puff pastry. No, you first. See? Huh?
I'll pick the simple one. Actually, well, you have lipstick on and makeup.
I have just chapstick. You're fine.
All right. I'll pick the simple one.
Is it good?
It is delicious. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Was it okay? How's that?
Good.
Yeah? Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, guys. I probably got stuff on my dirty mustache. And those girls don't like guys with mustaches. They can follow you on Instagram?
Yes.
What's your Instagram?
The Ashley Guess.
The Ashley Guess?
I'm not so entirely sure that's the whole thing because I don't really care about it, but you can find me. I'm sure you'll tag me in something.
I will. I'll tag you. Guys, give her a follow. You guys need a realtor? Hit her up.
Yes.
Whatever. It's in the box anyways, right?
Yes.
So yeah. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Like your nails.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was nice to reconnect.
I know, right? It was cool. It was a cool conversation.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, comfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were comfortable.
Yes. I've never done it.
No.
Mm-mm.